So I tried making this video before and YouTube wouldn't let me upload it, so I'm starting to think it was too long, so I'm going to try again. In January 2018, I had what I could easily call the most traumatic experience of my life. I'm planning to make a series of videos for what this is like and what it can be like for other people. I want to raise awareness for this particular condition. I'd like to, at least. I feel like there's not many people around that really understand what it is and what it's like to live with it. I am super camera shy or video shy, so this is a great start. So, in January 18, I had my first experience with psychosis, which led me to become sectioned. At the time, I didn't even know what being sectioned was, so it was a very difficult time for me. I was thinking of starting with what psychosis is and what it means to have psychosis. So basically, psychosis, in short, is when you lose touch with reality. This can happen in various ways. A common thing to have along with it is hallucinations. These can be auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, I said that weird, or these can be things you smell that aren't there. So that's a bit of a strange one, but I've had that one myself as well. So I've also had visual hallucinations and don't think I've had auditory hallucinations. Actually, no, I have had auditory hallucinations. Yeah, so that's just one part of psychosis. Another part would be getting super paranoid. Not everyone gets this, but I know personally I get this really bad. I get very paranoid when I'm having an episode. Generally I'm not that paranoid if I'm not having an episode, but when I am off the charts paranoid. I'll get into more of that later. Another thing some people get is grandiose delusions, where they believe certain things about themselves that are grandiose in nature. And then there's delusions in general, where people they believe certain things that aren't happening, which can link into their paranoia or their grandiose delusions, their hallucinations. It's all sort of tied together. Some people get like a flat effect, where they don't show much emotion. I think I get that at times. There's a lot to it. I'll make another video about the symptoms another day, but that's a little brief inkling on what psychosis is. So it's losing touch with reality, basically. So my personal experience with psychosis is usually based around paranoia. So I get very paranoid that people are out to get me in various ways. Usually I don't know what's going on, I just believe something or someone is going to harm me, usually a big group of people and individuals. I end up thinking my loved ones even are trying to harm me, which is crazy because they're the ones that are supposed to love me, but in my head at the time when I'm unwell, I think that they're going to do something horrible to me. And this can be really difficult for them to deal with, especially if they're not going to do anything at all, which they most likely aren't. I accuse people of things, or I keep it to myself sometimes, and this can be really difficult for people to deal with, and I know it's really hard on them. So back to January 2018, I was sectioned because of my psychosis, and this was the first time I ever experienced psychosis. It was a very scary time for me. There's only so much I can say in one video, for now, so I'll make later videos later on about more in depth about my experience with being sectioned. But to sum it up, all I can say is it was very traumatizing. It was awful. I got bullied in the ward, by staff included. The nature of how it's organised is really awful. It's a bit like being in prison, I imagine, because you can't do what you want to do. You can't go outside unless you have permission. No one really talks to you with empathy. Everyone's kind of horrible. This is just my experience. My experience was really awful. I've heard other people had bad experiences with being sectioned too. It'd be interesting to get in touch with other people who have had the similar experience. Yeah, there was a lot that went on. I was put into a suite in the first part of my sectioning in Chelmsford. I don't know what it was called, no one told me anything. I wasn't even told I was sectioned until later on. And that was awful. I was in a room where there was just an observation window and people would just stare at me and write notes while I was just in a room. So it was a very odd experience. And then I got transferred to Rochford Hospital, where I was in a ward with other people, and that had its own struggles as well. I think both wards were as bad as each other, or both places were as bad as each other, but in different ways, for different reasons. Rochford was awful. Like I said, I got bullied, and it was just not a fun time. Not a fun time at all. It was terrible. I wouldn't recommend. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them. Yeah, so this is like my intro to what I'm going to be putting on my channel now. If anyone has video ideas, that would be great. Yeah, so I'm basically going to talk about my traumatic experience with being sectioned and psychosis. It's going to be lots of fun. I hope, sort of, not really, maybe, we'll see. But yeah, it should be good. There should be a lot of good content. I hope so anyway. I'm going to try to make it as good as I can. But it's basically just going to be me talking and just explaining things, telling stories, informing people more on what psychosis is like, and just trying to share with the world what this illness does and how you can live with it, maybe. So yeah, that's me, and thank you for watching. Bye.